Um, okay. Being that Israel is in the headlines today, excuse me, I wanted to go over some Israeli gun laws. A lot of people have had the illusion that Israel is like Switzerland, where everyone has to get a machine gun at home, and they all carry guns, they all sleep with guns. Ugh. Okay? In Israel, in order for you to maintain a gun license, you have to be a minimum of 21 years old when you apply. Now, some people, it's minimum 21 years old to apply. And that's guys that did either the military service or a civil service equivalent of military service. They have to work for the government in some type of role for a couple of years if they can't serve in the military. And some people that have not had military service, have not had civil service, they have not had their equivalent civic duty done, they can be asked to wait until at least 45 years old. Now, and a lot of them are veterans or are civil service graduates, and have done civil service in some degree. So a lot of them may fall into one of these categories, but they have certain categories. Applicant must be a permanent resident of Israel for 3 consecutive years prior to the application. That means you can't live in Israel for 6 months, go home, come back home. You gotta be there for a minimum 3 years. Minimum age of 21 years old. This is for your personal use, and you're not to engage in what we would call FFLing, okay, where you have the firearms dealership. It's your gun, not to be sold or traded or bought or whatever. The applicant must fall into one of the following categories. Part-time reservist for 3 years, own 1 handgun. Such a reservist, member of a gun club, may own 1 rifle, in addition to 1 handgun. Professional transportation driver, bus drivers, cab drivers, minimum of 5 passengers. If you have a cab with 1 seat, that's 1 passenger. A bus or one of those larger cabs. You ever see the airport transportation where you call to get a transport to the airport, and the guy has a van for you and 9 people, and you have a large party? Yeah. Minimum 5 passengers may own 1 handgun. A licensed animal control officer may own 2 hunting rifles, not full automatic weapons or semi-automatic, and they have a limited capacity magazine. A full-time dealer of jewels, large sums of cash or valuables, 1 handgun. West Bank and Gaza settlers, a resident in a military strategic buffer zone, like the Gaza Strip area, essential to the security of the state of Israel, may own 1 handgun. A business owner in these locations, which means if you live outside but you have a store in that area, you may own 1 handgun. Veterans of the regular army that are honorably discharged with the rank of non-commissioned officer, and veterans of the reserve army with the rank of regimental commander, 1 handgun. Retired law enforcement with the rank of sergeant, 1 handgun. Retired prison guards with the rank of squadron commander, 1 handgun. If you are about to receive a souvenir or a prize or inheritance, you have to alert them and tell them, my grandfather died and I'm going to get his rifle. You have to tell them and get it approved. Now, I've heard talk that they want to reduce this even further. They want to ban the jewelers and other cash dealers from having a gun. I've heard that teachers who carry guns in school in Israel are going to be required to lock their gun up in a lockbox during the summer vacation and get their gun back when school begins. We've all seen the picture of the teacher on the field trip with the M1 carbine. Okay? Here's my problem with this. We all talk about, in America, I should have a concealed carry license because what if I'm robbed in the street? In America, I should be allowed to have a home defense gun no matter what because what if a home invader breaks in? And here's the issue with that. Israel is under rocket fire almost every day. There may come a 6-month period of peace. There may come a 10-year period of peace. But the peace will eventually break down and conflict will eventually erupt. Now obviously you're not going to use a handgun to protect yourself from a rock being fired at your house. But in addition to that, Hamas has tunnels that run into Israel and are specifically strategically placed in communities, by schools, by synagogues, where kidnappings can occur. And I think that it's far higher, because don't forget, an Israeli citizen has a much greater chance of being a victim of a crime than an American citizen, for the simple fact that American citizens don't have enemies literally next door to them digging tunnels into their backyard. And I actually mentioned this to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Twitter. He didn't get back to me though. And I'm actually going to share this video with Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I'm trying to be respectful. I think it's time for every Israeli citizen, obviously with the exceptions of the mentally deranged, felons, okay, obviously with those exceptions, but I think it is time for every Israeli citizen to be allowed to own at least one firearm. Even if you allow every Israeli citizen to own one handgun, and mandate that they register it, and mandate that they have professional training, I think, yeah. Now you might have people that might dodge their military service or dodge the civil service equivalent of it, and you might want to take their firearm away as punishment. In America, we still have the draft. In America, even though the draft has not been activated since the 1970s, all men who are citizens or legal immigrants of the United States are required to register for the draft on their 18th birthday. And I got my card in the mail on my 18th birthday and I had to send it right back. And if you don't get your card in the mail on your 18th birthday, you have to go to the post office before your 25th birthday. Because if you're a male in the United States and you were living here before your 25th birthday, you have to register for the draft. There might not be a draft. You might be disqualified from service, but you're still required to register. And if you don't register for the draft, you can have doors shut. You cannot work for the government. You may not be able to get a student loan. And there are other certain doors that may be closed to you. I guarantee you won't be able to run for senator or president. So, if in Israel, if a guy dodges the draft and you want to take away his gun as punishment for a few years, I understand that too. But the citizens of Israel who are in good standing with their government should be allowed to own at least one firearm. For the simple fact they may need to defend themselves. And that's all I have to say about that. Video's over. I have to answer the phone now. Thank you.